Everyone, it's Monday evening, and it's time to get out of pocket. Everyone, welcome to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Boom Broadcasting. We are streaming live, and we've had a big day. You guys notice I dropped a brand new show that we are doing this fall called Cowboys Morning Brew. I have my Cowboys shirt on. I don't have a coffee mug. That'll probably be tomorrow. As we come back on, I just dropped an article on ProFootballInsiders.com projecting the 53-man roster for the Dallas Cowboys, in addition, as well as the practice squad. So I will be talking about some of that more tomorrow on Boom Broadcasting and on the Star Stud Cowboys Network, where you can listen on Spotify or right here on the YouTube feed for Boom Broadcasting. And so there's a lot of stuff going on with the Cowboys. And we had this news break earlier this afternoon that Terry McLaurin got re-signed by the Commanders. And so I decided to call up somebody and ask him, hey, would you want to come on and talk about the NFC East on this special Out of Pocket episode? It's right before my birthday. This is the last Out of Pocket that you will ever see with me at this age, because we'll be back next week. So without further ado, I got to bring in Mr. NY himself. I got the host of Three from Deep and the host of our fantasy football podcast, Sideline Savant, starting up. We got Jason Colenso.
Guys,
Jason, we can hang up now. Okay. We got the StreamYard. Everybody can hear our conversation, so be careful with the words you choose. And I mentioned you had Sideline Savants. I'm actually doing a fantasy draft while we are live, so if I ever look at my phone, my apologies. But Jason, you know how fantasy football is so important to everybody.
It is. It's not just a game. It's a lifestyle, and I cannot wait for Sideline Savants and to talk fantasy football. This is probably one of my favorite times of the year, when everything just starts coming together here. Fantasy football starting, the football season. You got college football. You're going to have baseball playoffs. The NBA season's not too far away. Then you're going to have the NHL this season. You know, I love this time of year, man, and I love being here with you, man. It is so awesome to be on here with you, Mr. Michael Davis. So very excited to talk some NFL today.
Yes, very excited. And we can have commenters live on our stream, and that's what Podcast Smitty is doing from Quick Hits. What's good, MD and NY? We got the initials. And he said, that's cool. I couldn't get on the show. I imagine this is a little bit of saltiness, but you're not you know what? If you want to renounce your allegiances to the San Francisco 49ers and come on as another Dallas Cowboys representative, you are more than welcome. But you're not an NFC East guy, you know, and it's okay. It's okay, Shannon. You know, I got a Cowboys jersey in the closet. If you want to, you know, come out of the closet as a Cowboys fan, you are more than welcome. But Jason, let's talk about Scary Terry. Yes. The headline says it itself. He got his money. The Commanders re-signed Terry McLaurin. And honestly, Jason, my initial response was, I wrote an article for Fans First Sports Network, and I really did believe this was going to get done when the going got tough. The Commanders was in the NFC Championship game last year. Terry McLaurin has been loyal to that organization through any and all quarterbacks. And now that they have Jane Daniels, who appears to be a legitimate quarterback, I couldn't see McLaurin just up and leaving for money. It just looked like a money grab to get his money. And the Commanders are like, hey, we're a week away from the season. We need to solidify him, but McLaurin's not going anywhere.
And I love it. I think this was probably the smartest thing the Commanders could have done this year. Because you have a second-year quarterback that you're hoping does not have, you know, a sophomore slump. You look at that wide receiver room for the Commanders. You got a new guy with Deebo Samuel. Can he stay healthy? But, I mean, not a lot of rapport with Daniels. Luke McCaffrey, young guy. Noah Brown, young guy. KJ Osborne comes over from, I believe it was the Vikings. And now you got a new guy. So, you know, not a lot of cohesiveness with Daniels to really start the season. So Terry McLaurin super, super important to Jaden Daniels' development as a quarterback and going into this very important second year. Because man, he was on fire. He lit it up. What a rookie season that he had. I live here near the DMV in Northern Virginia, and man, the buzz about this kid was phenomenal. So you do not want that to fall off. You don't want to lose it. Scary Terry was pivotal for this to happen, because you talk about just being able to kind of close your eyes and throw the ball up and trust your wide receiver to catch it. This is the guy that's going to do it. So this was uber important for the Commanders to continue their rebirth, especially after such a phenomenal season last year.
And we are doing an NFC East special for Outta Pocket with Michael Davis today, because we got things for Washington, Dallas, Philly, New York. Now, we don't have a designated NFC East podcast, but there is a designated AFC West podcast, this YouTube channel, West War Room Rivals. If you haven't checked them out, they are doing incredible. They interview former players, former coaches, such as Super Bowl winning coach Dick Vermeil. And they're saying Scary Terry being re-signed helps keep the Commanders' offense relevant. I believe so, because, I mean, he's a go-to number one, and we see what it does for an offense to elevate everybody else when you have a go-to number one receiver. And with McLaurin producing with, I mean, he had some of the worst, including Sam Howell, which we'll touch on briefly. He's coming back to the NFC East in a trade done today. But Drew Code Sports Talk, one of the hosts from West War Room Rivals, says he's curious how this offense will be with Debo and now Scary Terry returning. And Podcast Me must be even more upset today, not being on an NFC East special for Outta Pocket. But in addition to that, his Debo is gone. His X factor in the 49er offense is gone. He's joining Scary Terry in Washington. Jason, with this offense, you see Brian Robinson was actually traded to the 49ers this past week. Do you think them trading their, starting running back made it even more important for them to get McLaurin? Or were they going to do this anyway?
I think they were going to do it anyway, but it was definitely very, very important. That running back room is going to be important for Jaden Daniels, because, that's how you get, that's how you open up the passing lanes. It starts with the run and that offensive line. So I think the Commanders have something special there with those running backs that they do have. With Eckler, they got a couple of young cats that are coming out of nowhere that are going to be very important. But you got to remember, Deebo Samuel was never really a true wide receiver. He was always that kind of Swiss Army knife where he can come out of the backfield. He can do some jet sweeps, come over the middle. He can do a deep route, but he's kind of all over the place. So he's kind of a wide receiver, running back, hybrid player. So I think that really helps Deebo Samuel. So you talk about defenses really having to spy a Deebo Samuel all over the field, because you don't know where he's going to be. So I think that's just going to open up the deep ball for McLaurin, and Scary Terry is going to earn his name here once this season starts, because I think Daniels is going to be able to eat getting the ball to him down the field now that you have really a dynamic offense. So I'd be really curious to see how the offensive coordinators and the quarterback coaches and the running back coaches really style that offense and playing on how Deebo Samuel can kind of move around and play different positions. So I think it's going to be interesting to see this new Commanders offense. But it starts with Daniels and Terry McLaurin. So, I mean, those two guys were super important to this offense.
And you notice I told you guys I'm doing a fantasy draft. I'm actually doing two. Cody telling me I'm on the clock.
You're on the clock.
I'm going to go. There's several people I could have my eyes on in the queue, but I need to go ahead and get a quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and draft Baker Mayfield, which means Joseph is now on the clock. Joseph couldn't be with us today as an Eagles representative, so hopefully I took his guy. I'm also going to text him and make sure he knows that he's up, and we're going to keep this We're going to keep this train going. Podcast me saying Washington can have him in
Bitter.
reference to Debo.
Bitter.
He is bitter.
Bitter.
And Chris makes a really, really good point here. He's a top 3 route runner in the league.
Yep.
This is what makes Terry McLaurin so special.
Yes.
And it's the reason that I hate playing against him. Like, and he's going to take up a lot of money, but he is worth every bit of that $96 million. Let me make that abundantly clear. That Terry McLaurin is just, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a handful for whoever he's going up against, especially when it comes to the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles secondary. But speaking of, Terry McLaurin got his money. Kudos to him.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who has not. And I will probably have a full episode of Cowboys Morning Brew later this week dedicated to this situation alone.
Let it out, man. Just let it out. Let's just come on, get it out. Deep breath.
Micah Parsons is still not paid. Now, when we're talking about Terry McLaurin, a top 3 route runner in the league, as Chris DeLuca said, and you're talking about Micah Parsons, a top 3 pass rusher in the league, still not paid, it's upsetting. Now, this has gone so far beyond paying a guy and how much money and, do we have the room? Do we have the cap space? Can we allocate here or there? It's went so far beyond that it's Jerry being negligent. Darrelle Revis wants to file an NFLPA grievance against Jerry Jones, and he's just not negotiating with Micah's agent. Now, Micah's agent is notorious for making this a little dramatic, a little complicated to get his player the most money.
Right.
Now, this may be both sides trying to play the public media game to try to get a deal that works better for either party. But what this has done has went far beyond Micah Parsons and his relationship with the team or his contract. It's went far beyond business because you have players who are now upset at how Jerry Jones has neglected these contract negotiations. We are a little over a week away from the NFL season starting. The Cowboys will be in Philadelphia watching the Eagles raise a Super Bowl banner, the second since Dallas had their 5th. And it's like Jerry Jones doesn't care because you have to take care of your main talent, your star players, not only just star of the team, but star of the NFL, because this sends an entire message to the rest of the NFL. If you're a free agent this year, this is how you're going to be treated by Jerry Jones. These negotiations don't work. And Jason, I am so afraid that it has turned into something a lot more personal where somebody has given their heart and soul to a team just to be treated like this. Like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to your agent. It doesn't matter. We'll be fine without you if you're not there week 1. Jason, this is totally the wrong approach, and I full-heartedly do not believe I am out of pocket for saying any of that.
Not at all. Let it fly, man, because look, I was thinking about this, man. This is Jerry Jones's MO. He needs to be in the limelight. He needs to have the Cowboys on everybody's lips, on all the networks. He played this game with Dak Prescott with the first contract negotiation. Stephen A. Smith paying his money. They played this game, overpaid. Played this game with Zeke, overpaid. Played this game with CeeDee Lamb. He's overpaid on him now. So he tried to play this same game with Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons was not having this game. Because this is Jerry Jones's MO. He wants people. He wants the drama. He wants to be the head and just in front of everybody. and he wants to control the narrative where he's in charge and I can control these guys' future. Well, you know what? When you got a guy in Micah Parsons who is an absolute monster on the football field and is one of the top defenders in the league right now, but you played games with him and he wasn't playing games, and his agent was not playing games, because when you play with somebody's livelihood and their money, and you talk about them in the media like Jerry Jones likes to do, he likes to kind of take these little subtle jabs at his players. Again, he did it with Dak, he did it with Zeke. He does this. He's been doing this for 20, 25, 30 years now. Micah wasn't having it. He didn't want to play Jerry's game. And I think this is going to ruin and has ruined that relationship between the Cowboys and Micah Parsons. I don't see this ending very good. And Jerry, he's so starved for a championship, but he can't get out of his own way and stop playing these games with these guys' money, because it's this is not 40 years ago when you won the Super Bowl. The players, their power, their influence is completely different from Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. I mean, this is not, you can't treat these guys like you treated those guys before. You have to be a little bit different in your approach, but he's taken the same approach, and you can see how it's burning him. Jerry, I hate to say this, but Cowboy fans aren't going to be happy till Jerry Jones is gone. And I do not see you guys winning a championship till Jerry Jones is gone, because he just is a master manipulator, and it ends up backfiring on him. Look at the contracts. Look at the Dak. Look at the Zeke. Look at the CD Lamb. What are you doing? You have a Hall of Fame defensive player that just is a destructive force, and you need him in that NFC East. Look what the Giants did on our defense, drafting Abdul Carter. Monster. We got, Sexy Dexy. The Eagles re-upped. Commanders are coming. Cowboys, what are you doing? You're taking steps back. And that is terrible. And it's bad for Cowboy fans, because you guys put your blood, your sweat, and your tears into cheering for a team just to watch somebody just totally be self-destructive. And now you're going to pay for it. Micah Parsons is not going to play for the Dallas Cowboys this year. He's either going to sit out or want to be traded, period.
Well, I don't know if Michael would sit out an entire year, and I want to touch on that.
I think he would.
Toby's saying, say hi, and he's saying, go Lions. Ironically, Micah's nickname is the Lion. And Podcast Me, isn't it weird how the guy Jerry should have overplayed isn't going to get paid? TJ Miles and Trey got paid before Micah. I will say Trey Hendrickson technically hasn't gotten paid, but he did get a raise today. He will still be an unrestricted free agent after this season. But again, they went to the negotiating table. It wasn't what Trey Hendrickson wanted, but it was enough to show that he was valued and appreciated from the ownership. And we've talked about the Bengals being dysfunctional with their front office, especially when it comes to them neglecting the defense. And he's saying he meant overpaid. No worries there. I mean, Cody, I don't see a world in where Micah ever plays for Jerry Jones again. I have to touch on this because Micah is not that player who will sit out games. But man, Micah Parsons is that dude who will make you regret not paying him when you did. Micah Parsons is a legit freak of nature. And I mean, I see a guy who loves football, and I am encouraged by somebody who has just been around the team. And everybody's saying, oh, he was laying on the medic table, whatever. And it was a very short glimpse of time. Right. But Micah's there. He's not really like causing a scene. He's not showing up. He's not going MIA.
I think he was
he's a
waiting
rat.
for that. He was waiting for that moment where Jerry flips the script and I'm gonna say kind of gives him what he wants. But he's drugged this out so long and keeps making the comments. So now I think that's just frustrating him. And I can see where Micah sits out, not because he doesn't love football, because he, when you start making football a business and
Mhm.
these guys have to make business decisions, he sits down with his agent and he goes, dude, you could play and get hurt and never play again, or you could sit out, ride this thing out for a year, and then we could figure it out down the road. So, I mean, I could see him doing that.
And Trayvon Diggs has even commented, saying most definitely about Micah Parsons wanting to remain with the team. He wants to be with us and help this team win. This is his home and family. I'll say this. Whether the negotiations turn out, Micah Parsons gets paid and he's able to play week 1, the fact that you have taken the heart and soul and somebody who is so passionate, not just about football, but about the Dallas Cowboys, and you've just crushed his spirit as an owner, that is the worst thing you could do because that sends a message to the rest of your roster.
I was gonna say, what
That's
does that do to the locker room, man? What kind of vibe is that going to put in the locker room now?
And Cody said exactly that. I see Jerry Jones, who has taken the enjoyment of playing football away from Micah. Jerry has hurt Micah. Micah deserves his money. That is a mic drop. And Smitty, people don't quit jobs; they quit bosses. They quit bosses, and that's exactly it. And I mean, yeah, Michael will get paid. I have no doubt that he'll play for the Dallas Cowboys this year. But man, Jerry, you're going to lose a lot of the players in your own locker room, and a lot of free agents are not going to want to come to the negotiating table with you because you have been so negligent. And it's very disappointing. Again, we'll be talking more about the Micah Parsons situation as we draw closer. I have the new morning show. It's called Cowboys Morning Brew. That is a part of Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. If you like Spotify, it's on through the Star State Cowboys Network. You just search that up on Spotify. Or if you're watching on Boom and you like seeing my face at 6 a.m. in the morning, guess what? You can watch it on here too. But we talked about the Commanders and Cowboys, and those were the two pressing conversations. But I would be remiss without mentioning there's two other teams. And one of them was bottom of the division last year. The other were Super Bowl champions. And since Jason's wearing a bottom of the barrel polo right now, I wanted to bring up Jackson Dart or Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston or Tommy Cutlets. I mean, we literally have a hodgepodge of the most randomest quarterbacks, not just in terms of style or play, but in terms of personality. We it's just super random. Jason, you're the Giants fan. You have two ways of going about this. You can try to compete and have the best quarterback possible, or you can try to tank for maybe a second Manning in a Giants jersey. What are you vibing from this season for the quarterback?
No, the tanking for Manning, that's the Saints shtick right now. So let them have him. We got our future. I'm a firm believer that rookie quarterbacks should sit behind a veteran and learn. Don't give Jackson a dartboard. Give him a clipboard. Let him learn. Look, he had a phenomenal preseason. 372 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 113 QB rating. He did everything right. He said the right things. He did the right things. The only thing he needs to work on is his slide. So that's one of the things Dable talked to him about. When you're running, get down. But look, that Giants quarterback room is probably the best quarterback room in the NFL. And yes, I said it. You talk about 3-4 guys that can go and start or be a QB2 for any team in the NFL right now. Look, Russell Wilson, he knows this is his last chance. This is it. This is his swan song. He's got 1-2 years left. So you're going to get everything out of him. He is a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback. So who better for Jackson Dart to sit behind with a clipboard and learn than Russell Wilson, whether it's good or bad? Because you want to see the good, but you also want to see the bad. When you're learning the quarterback position, you want to see how other veterans handle adversity, how they handle losses, those kind of things. And I think Jackson Dart can grow from that. I do not want to see him just kind of thrown in there and go win us some games, because look, the regular season is different from the preseason. I can't overreact. I do not like overreaction during the preseason. He looks great, but Russell Wilson is going to quarterback this Giants team. Yes, my man Tommy Cutlets. And I think, unfortunately, Tommy Cutlets, who played well, he had 3 touchdowns in the final game. He looked great, but I think he's going to be the odd man out. I think he's going to end up being on the practice squad. So I know the Giants want to keep Jameis Winston too, who, man, you talk about a really good quarterback. It's just, unfortunately, you have to take the bad with the good. You get Jameis Winston throwing for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's just kind of who he is. But he's a heck of a third stringer to keep back there, maybe even second, because Jackson Dart is your future. You don't have to ruin it now. Look, I know Dable is playing for his job right now and coaching for his job. And this season's going to really be very important, whether he moves on next year or the Giants get rid of him. So I know this is riding on it, but to me, every coach in the NFL is coaching for their job every game, every year. So that doesn't mean, but keep Russell Wilson out there. I think he's the best opportunity for the Giants to play well. Veteran quarterback, veteran presence. You got Winston backing up. If you need to get somebody in there, he can go out there and get you some touchdowns. So now Jackson Dart can sit behind these guys and learn the game of football, learn how it's played. By next year, you're going to see Jackson Dart starting for the New York Football Giants, and he's going to be the future. But this year, don't ruin him. Let him learn behind a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback, please.
Wow. That'd be pretty crazy. And Chris is kind of in the same boat as you. He says, highly agree with not starting high drafted quarterbacks at first. Let them learn behind a vet, even if the vet isn't the best. I don't know if that's a shot on Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson or both.
Probably both. Yeah.
Most teams that draft quarterbacks high are struggling. And that's what I want to get to. And Podcast Me believes it's definitely a redshirt year for Jackson Dart, even though he says he was a bad dude at Ole Miss, 4,000 yards passing. He thinks he's going to be a beast. Here's where I sit on this, because, again, yeah, you did use a first-round pick on Jackson Dart. But if you look at what this team is, you're not going to win the division or even get into the wild card round with Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston throwing the ball. I mean, there's at least 2, maybe 3 teams ahead of you in the division, and the Giants still need a lot of pieces. And so I feel like it would be best for the Giants to play Jackson Dart for his entire rookie year, because you aren't going to move forward with Russell Wilson. You're not going to move forward with Jameis Winston as your quarterback long-term. See what you have in Jackson Dart. If you guys go 1-15 like the Cowboys did way back when with Troy Aikman as a rookie, then you have a top-end draft pick that you could be like, hey, we can't pass up on a guy like Arch Manning, or you have another elite prospect at the top of the draft and could luck out with another Abdul Carter like generational talent at another position of need. I actually feel like it would be very beneficial for Jackson Dart to play, give him that experience, see what you have there. And Cody's even like, what week does Dart start this season? Because you're not on the board of letting Dart play. But if it happens, like, I feel like by mid-year, he should at least
If
be
the
on the
Giants
field.
are 0-6, game 7, but look, the New York Giants have a really well-constructed team right now. Look, I know the offensive line still has some questions. I'd like to see what those running backs with Tracy and my man Scottaboo. I want to see how that goes. That secondary on that defense, some new pieces there. So I got some questions there. But I tell you what, right now, that front four is going to be destructive in the NFC East. And the New York Giants are going to contend to win the NFC East with that defense and a game managing offense. They don't need a high powered offense, even though they have Malik Neighbors, who is a phenomenal talent. And don't hate just because your Cowboys are in turmoil. I got my Giants tissues here for you, baby, because I know it's a little sad. I'm about to lose Micah Parsons, but the New York Football Giants right now are constructed to be contenders in the NFC East. I still have questions on the Commanders. Would Jane Daniels have a sophomore slump? Is he going to get along with his other pieces? What are those running backs going to do and that offensive line going to do in Washington? The Eagles, are they going to have a Super Bowl hangover? It's really hard to repeat in this league. When was the last time we had a repeat Super Bowl champion? So, I don't trust the Eagles right now. So the Giants have a phenomenal defense. ESPN already has them pegged as a top 10 defense, and they have a offense that if they manage the game, they can win some football games. I know they have one of the toughest schedules out the gate right now, but you know what? Why do they play? They play to win the game. We're not crowning anybody right now. The New York Giants are coming. Do not be surprised if at the end of the year, the Giants are in the playoffs, period. And the Cowboys are at home.
I have a lot of thoughts. And I will say,
Bring it.
Cody brought up a good point that New York is way too impatient. Like, they could be starting Dart by midseason, even if they don't start right out the gate. Podcast Smitty says that front four looks devastating, which it does. Like, that is how you win and lose games, is in the trenches. You have to protect your quarterback, and you have to establish an offensive line to run the ball. And then you also have to stop the run and then have guys who will go after the quarterback. I mean, Cody bringing up a good point. Chiefs were the last team to repeat. The Eagles have a chance, but with the way that Nick Sirianni is just up and down, I don't foresee the Eagles repeating.
They wanted to fire him last year. Like, he was on the hot seat last year at like midseason. So
that's true. But Jason, I'm not letting you off the hook. Your Giants take is out of pocket.
Not at all.
I'm not going to consider.
The NFC East is going to be the best division in football. Last year, it was that NFC North with the Lions and the Vikings. I think those teams kind of fall off a little bit. The NFC East is going to be the best division in the NFL. Write it down. And the New York Giants will be in the playoffs.
Are you saying the Giants will win that division or just make the wild card?
They have a chance. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they have a chance to make the playoffs, but they have a good chance because, again, teams fall off. There's injuries. There is a lot that can happen, and you have a quarterback in Russell Wilson that can win you games. He did not thrive in Denver. I thought that was a bad connection there with him and Peyton. They just did not coexist very well together. Now you have a quarterback coach in Dable. Russell Wilson knows he has someone behind him. He's not like, oh, this is a surprise that I got Jackson Dart behind me. So he's playing with house money. He's going to go out there and sling the rock because he knows this is his last chance to show everybody what kind of quarterback he really is. He should have 2 rings, but, of course, we know, the beast mode thing and throwing the interception, etc. So I think he really wants to prove himself that the last few years were not Russell Wilson years. So he's playing, he's going to play out of his mind this year. I think we're going to see vintage Russell Wilson playing on the New York Giants. You're going to see that defensive line just be absolutely destructive and just wreck the NFC East. This is going to be old school 80s Lawrence Taylor, just smash you in the face. Carl Banks, like they're bringing it this year, and I think the Giants have it. Again, we have some questions. The secondary, new pieces. That offensive line has always been suspect for the last 15, 20 years. We've always tried. We've overpaid. We've tried to put different guys in there. But this Giants team will make the playoffs, and they will contend for the NFC East. Guaranteed.
Can I just list off? Because I'm not even going to touch the Eagles and Commanders and even the Cowboys, because Cowboys do give the Giants fits. But Drew Code and Cody said AFC West will be the best division.
No.
You have outside of the NFC East, you have the Chiefs, you have the Chargers, you have the Saints. I'll give you that. But you have the Broncos, the 49ers, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, Patriots would be 50-50. And then you have Minnesota, and let's be honest.
Patriots, you know, throw the Patriots in there. Oh my god!
I would even throw.
I love Bo
I'd
Nix.
throw the Raiders in there. That's 9 losses, Jason. That's 9 losses outside of your division. It's over. It's over.
No. Look, there's a lot of overrated teams in there. There's some overrated players in there. And again, this is the NFL. And the NFL stands for not for long. So on paper, everybody looks great in the beginning of the season. But when you get between the lines and they play the games, we'll see what happens. But I think the New York Giants are going to surprise a lot of people this year. And again, don't be surprised. And I will come on here. If they don't, 0-14, we're terrible. I'll still come on here and I'll stick by my guns. But man, I tell you what, this is the first time in a lot of years that I have been excited about a Giants football team. I don't have the Danny Dimes drama. I've had my piece with the Saquon Barkley thing, so that's gone. But to see the team we have and see this team the way it's constructed, to see what's in front of us in the landscape of the NFL, I am very excited. And again, don't be surprised when it get between the lines. We'll see. I'm excited to see the full potential of that New York Giants defense.
Well, and Danny Dimes in Indianapolis now.
Yeah, good luck, Indy.
Yeah, and Indy needs all the luck they can get. Speaking of some quarterbacks, not only are the Giants trying to figure out who they'll not only start the season with, but end the season with, but we've talked Cowboys, Commanders, Giants, and let's just throw a bone to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. They've had an offseason where they were celebrating, but they don't have much to talk about except they did this little trade today with the Minnesota Vikings. They traded for Sam Howell, how is Sam Howell even in the NFL right now? I told everybody, by the way, that Sam Howell was a bust and on the verge of 25 years old as a draft pick in 2022. He's been on the Commanders, Seahawks, never made it out of the offseason for the Vikings until now being traded to Philadelphia. That is 4 teams since 2022. That's not good for a quarterback that was going to be great and whatever. That's why UNC quarterbacks never work out, by the way. But what was very interesting, Jason, I almost didn't bring this up at all.
But
the Philadelphia Eagles traded for Sam Howell, traded some draft comp for Sam Howell to be the backup to Jalen Hurts. They saw him in Washington, which is a head scratcher. But even more so, the Vikings turn around and use that spot to sign former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. And so, Jason, I am just baffled at why they would choose Sam Howell, who has not shown anything, versus Carson Wentz, who had his best years in Philadelphia. So I'm going to ask you, Oh wow, we're still having some giant comments come in. Top 5 wide receiver, Wandale Robinson, gross. Wasn't Danny Dimes a Duke quarterback? Yes, he was, but I like some of our other quarterbacks better. And Alex, appreciate you watching, my friend. I seen Winston looking good. Is Russell even playing Dart better than I anticipated this early on, which is why Jackson Dart should be starting for the Giants. Jason disagreed, but it's okay. None of these quarterbacks would start over Jalen Hurts, but who should have had been the Eagles' backup, Sam Howell or Carson Wentz?
Oof. That's where the Eagles better hope that Hurts does not get hurt. Look, he's one of those guys that may get you a game. Like if you need to throw somebody in there, he's inexpensive, he's young, he's got a little bit of arm. Look, Sam Howell for the Commanders had a little bit of a 3-game streak where he had over 100 percent QB rating. He can win some games. He hasn't really had a chance. He's still in the NFL. He's still an NFL player. So I mean, he's obviously doing something because there's a lot of players that cannot make an NFL squad. So he's obviously doing something. So the Eagles, I think this is, I don't want to say it's an upgrade. I don't want to say it's a downgrade. It is a C-, and it's a hope that, Hurts doesn't get hurt. And if he does, I think Sam Howell can hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley pretty well compared to Carson Wentz, who hasn't been anything since 2017. I don't know how he's still kind of in the league. Bless him for still kind of being in it. But I don't know how he's got the yips. He just can't get the ball down the field no more. Ever since he got hurt, he just completely fell off. So again, I think it's just good filler for an Eagles quarterback room that needed some help with some injuries.
And podcast me saying Howe is still shell-shocked from getting sacked so much in Washington. Sam Howell, yeah, he got sacked 65 times, which was a league worst. But he also threw 21 interceptions. Like, this guy has no pocket presence whatsoever. Sam Howell. Okay. Carson Wentz's worst season was back in 2020, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, led the league in interceptions that year, and also was sacked 50 times. That's when Philadelphia wiped their hands clean, got rid of him. He went to Indianapolis. Actually had a decent year, 27 touchdowns to only 7 picks. Washington, he spent the next year, wasn't that great. Played in started 7 games, was 2 of 5, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But let me tell you that, to think that Sam Howell has one season to his name, led the league not only in sacks given up, but also interceptions, and was chosen by a fan base that would have embraced Carson Wentz more. Like Carson Wentz on any other team, not as much. Not as much.
I think that wore out a long time ago. It's not like, beloved in Philly. Look, Philly fans are ridiculous. It's hard for them to beloved anybody. And they're both pretty cheap as far as quarterbacks, but I'd at least go for the younger legs. Again, better handing off the ball to Saquon.
But not only this, but the Eagles not only had a chance to sign Carson Wentz for free, but they gave up draft capital, gave up a 5th round pick and a 7th for Sam Howell and a 6th round pick. To me, why would you not keep that 5th round pick when the team drafts so well? When you could have literally brought back a guy who was going to be an MVP if he didn't get hurt back in 2017. To me, even though he's bounced around 4 different teams in 4 years with the Colts, Commanders, Rams, Chiefs, a lot of those in backup roles primarily. I mean, you have to give it to a guy. Again, Philadelphia, if anyone, would have embraced Carson Wentz more. It
must be a tush push thing, because maybe that's what it is. Maybe Sam Howell has a bigger tush to push in the pile. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe just Carson Wentz just can't get his head, that 1 yard here. So there's got to be something about it here. We're missing something.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh wow. It's been quite an episode of Out of Pocket with Michael Davis, and guesting with me is Mr. NY himself, Jason Colenso, who also dropped 3 from deep earlier today. And he's got a fantasy football show. Jason, do you want to share more?
Man, I'm so excited about fantasy football drafting right now. I'm in 6 different leagues right now. I'm a commissioner in 1 league. I love some fantasy football. This is that time of year. Excited. So yes, this Wednesday will be the first episode for this year, talking some fantasy football. I'll have a special guest. We're going to get excited about fantasy football. We're going to dig into some different things. We're not going to just look at, oh man, I need to start, Saquon Barkley. No, we're going to dig deeper. We're going to kind of go through the waiver wire. We're going to teach you how to do some fancy trades. We're going to talk about a lot of things on Sideline Savant. So going to be super, super excited. And I cannot wait to bring that to the Boom Broadcasting Network back again. Coming at you.
Hey, that'll be fun. We're having I'm having like 3 drafts going on at once right now, and it's crazy, including streaming Out Pocket live for you guys and your entertainment and enjoyment. And Aaron just hopping in, roll nears. It's UNC Charlotte Hate Week. I agree. By the way, it's my birthday on Friday, the same night as this App State and UNCC game. Please, Mountaineers, do not let me down. You need to run over the 49ers, just like the San Francisco 49ers get run over. I'm excited for Sideline Savants. That's going to be awesome. Remind the people when that debuts, Jason.
Wednesday, 12 p.m. here on the Boom, 12 p.m. at the Boom Broadcasting Network here this Wednesday. Super excited about it, man. We're going to have a lot of fun. I get a little crazy when I talk about fantasy football. So if you think some of my prognostications on this show were a little off the wall, fantasy football. Jason, I'm up. Well, let's see here. What do I got? My dude fell to me. All right, so we're in one of these leagues. Yeah. I am sold on Mr. Rome Odunze this year. I think he is going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Watch out for Rome. Rome is burning, coming to you live in Chicago. Watch out with the baby bear, but I love me. So I picked some Rome Odunze, man. I can't wait. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season there for fantasy football. So, guys, I am super excited. I got to make that pick here live with my man, Mr. Michael Davis.
Hey, we were talking about it. We were thinking you, as the host of Sideline Savants, would be able to make a pick live on air. And so Sideline Savants, Wednesdays at 12. You can get more of that expertise with Mr. NY himself. And Aaron, App hasn't even announced their starting quarterback yet. He's worried. I'm worried too. I don't have super high hopes. I also have high hopes for Duke with this defense, with Manny Diaz continuing to be elevated. In addition to that, with Sideline Savants, we're covering fantasy football, but we're bringing back Hoops and Helmets, hosted by Aaron himself and Carson Williams. They debuted this show with a soft launch this past March Madness season as we are getting into the bracket. And now we press pause for the summer, and we're going with a full launch this fall with college football being back in a big time game this weekend between number 3 Ohio State, the defending national champions, and number 1 Texas Longhorns. So you'll want to watch Hoops and Helmets with Aaron and Carson as well as they cover the college football landscape. But guys, that is it for our Monday evening together. Be sure to tune in. I'm sure we got quick hits tomorrow afternoon. We got Cowboys Morning Brew tomorrow morning. bright and early at 6 a.m. I'll see you guys here. Jason dropped 3 from deep earlier this afternoon. You can watch on demand. And most of all, we appreciate you all. We appreciate you all joining us. We can't wait to see you back here next Monday as we inch closer to the NFL season. Everybody, have a great week.